A recipe for anarchy. 7 a.m. Frye's mornings begin with a healthy dose of organized chaos, unpredictable for everyone except her closest friends in the entire world, Shiver and Big Man. Experimenting with new forms of self-care at the start of each day, whilst on a fixed schedule, is the most freedom she has now that Deep Cut is under new management. It's those small acts that keep her motivated, helps her wade through the unfamiliar waters of working with a talent agency for the first time. This Friday, Frye's up at the crack of dawn to make miso soup for breakfast, her tentacles tied up with a soft scrunchie that juxtaposes how rough and tumble her workout gear looks, frayed blue sweatpants, and a loose, knitted crop top that's seen better days, but she just can't bring herself to recycle it. After skillfully fastening bandage wraps around her hands, she tiptoes through the narrow wooden hallways of her shared apartment, careful not to wake her bandmates snoozing down the hall. In their earlier days, Deep Cut spent Friday nights, or, as Shiver would affectionately call them, Frye day nights, songwriting, or hitting up the local arcade when it felt like that window of inspiration remained shut. As long as the three of them were together, they could take on the challenge of any genre and brew something worthwhile by the end of their session. Now, though, Frye worries the process won't be as liberating, and that they've given up their indie status too soon. Whether it's just an uneven mix of anticipation and anxiety, she'll have to push it down to make room for success. What if everything went right instead? 8 a.m. Frye shuffles through her liked songs on Spotify, feeling mildly irritated at her indecisiveness. The mornings are hers to spend as she decides, and she doesn't want to waste one more second while the sweltering desert heat rises. High Tide era drums greet her ears in the next couple of minutes. As a weathered Splatana enthusiast, Frye relishes the fact that practicing her favorite weapon is something that will never get old. She opens her reliable stamper case, adorned with stickers from various bands and neighboring city gift shops, resting her eyes upon the sword-like device. Frye lifts it with ease, smiles, and readies her stance. In a flash, her feet are rushing across the cool surface of the lobby floor. She alternates between vertical and horizontal slashes. With each forward motion of her weapon, she imagines she's striking down faceless foes. They're faceless, anonymous rather, but they take the form of Inkfish, who left hateful comments online about their music, and random city dwellers who were rude to her in the past. Although it's not something Frye prefers to dwell on, it's cathartic in a sense. A flurry of orange-hued ink splashes up towards the ceiling as she finds herself attempting a mid-air attack. Through the expansive windows of the building, the ink ribbons are tinted by Splatsville's morning sunrise in a way she hasn't quite experienced before. It's purely invigorating. She's catching her breath now, finding her way to the nearby grab-and-go stall for refreshment. Usually, Frye would save Splatana practice for the evenings to unwind from the day. Now, she feels a new sense of fulfillment in switching it up and stopping to appreciate the mundane. 10 a.m. At approximately 10 in the morning, Shiver, Frye, and Big Man are seated before their camera crew, since most Splatsville citizens are late to rise. The commute hadn't been horrendous, thanks to a developing transportation system, which gave Shiver plenty of time to consult with their makeup artists. Frye agrees that it's important not to change their image too drastically from the deep cut they were in primary school, so she declines new suggestions for her mascara and fancy skin products like bronzer. There are so many promises of new sponsors thrown at them left and right, perhaps since it's their first week on set. Frye knows better, though, from her folks, to not appear so naive.
Let's go for my signature look. I love wearing yellow, and it'll represent Team Paper just fine.
she says, raising her hands in a persuasive gesture. Thankfully, it works, and within moments, she's applying her own caramel-colored lip liner, topping it with clear gloss. 5 minutes are left to spare. Frye gives Big Man a high-fin touch as they head to the stage to take their seats, watches as he settles around their television screen, and Shiver kneels down behind the wooden podium next to her. 3 p.m. After filming their first Anarchy Splatcast session, Frye finds herself wandering the halls of their new office. The unfamiliarity of the space settles slowly into her mind, like an approaching ink storm, lingering just beyond thoughts brought on by imposter syndrome. Yes, she deserves to be here. Everything is just unfolding so fast, she thinks. To combat the feeling, Frye calls Shiver up so that they can meet for lunch together with Big Man. Long gone are the days of huddling over shared okonomiyaki from a nearby food truck with sheet music on the floor. Their weekdays would look a lot different from the confines of their tatami-laden stage. Change being the only constant in life is something Frye understands well, having moved closer to Splatsville years ago to make a name for herself. She already misses her family and taking care of her eels, even if they were a mere train ride away. Shiver's voice feels like a warm blanket draped over her shoulders when she answers the call. Frye found herself letting go of tension she didn't even know was there.
Hey, Frye. How are you holding up?
Honestly, super nervous and hungry as heck. Where do you want to swap plates? Shiver lets out a loud cough.
Oh, we're doing that today. I might have accidentally added spicy kimchi into my mix, if that's okay.
Frye only laughed, volume high and playful. I don't prefer it, but Big Man's probably the only one who can't handle it. That's cool. Also, I kinda wish I hadn't warmed up my stuff near the office. No one said anything, but they kept giving me weird stares as I packed everything back up, and I don't know what's worse, really.
They did not. I mean, it's not like the room is off limits to us, right?
Shiv, I think it's the other thing. People have said my cooking smells off-putting before. Frye grumbles, stopping to stare at a passing airplane. She taps her foot against the ground impatiently, and in annoyance. Memories she would rather not have resurface threaten to spill into her consciousness. Save for one, which is Shiver stepping in front of her in their middle school hallway, haphazardly shielding Frye from 2 unruly students. It was cute. Shiver knew Frye could deal with them easily, but she didn't think twice about standing up for her new friend. Frye knew they would get along from that day forward. The irony was that Big Man thought Shiver and Frye were bullies when they first met. Shiver's fighting spirit was on display once again, as they both convinced him that his piano skills were a worthy asset to their group. It was Frye who was the mediator, promising to keep an eye out for him on the school grounds if he agreed to join. Hard to believe he was so much shorter than the girls back then. Shiver scoffs on the other line.
Well then, whoever they are, clearly they have zero taste. Don't let it get to you, Frye. I'm pretty sure we can just file a complaint later.
A whisper of a smirk crossed Frye's face. Starting trouble in the first week already. Love that for us.
Better believe it. Oh, Big Man just got here. Want to meet us on the stairwell? I'd rather enjoy the cloudier weather we're getting.
Frye nodded before giving a verbal response. Let's party! 5 p.m. Several meetings with executives and invites to fancy dinners later, Frye and Big Man found themselves heading off to a recording session. Shiver had kakegoe practice. Few things soothe the soul quite like belting out a familiar harmony. Finally, the last task of the day is here. Recording vocals for their Splatfest debut. Frye finds herself absent-mindedly swaying to the rhythm of her Anarchy Poison solo as the track loops for a 3rd time. The booming, eclectic drums mirror her heartbeat, which picks up its rate when she hears something about another take, more emphasis on her final notes, from a small speaker in the corner of the recording room. It hasn't escaped Frye that this track needs to be perfect. When Deep Cut was approached to make Anarchy Rainbow the next big fest anthem, Their sound team gave heavy focus to Frye and mentioned how the intro of the song would later mirror her solo performance. Anarchy Rainbow united the diaspora, while the Anarchy Poisons were written and developed with a singular focus on the varying cultural backgrounds of Deep Cut. Big Man cheers and waves his fins from the other side of the glass in the sound engineer's booth. Frye holds her headphones up to a pointed ear with one hand as the song restarts. Deep breath, Zonaga. You got this. She focuses on her single schwada, elevating her vocals and holding the note. Frye finds herself in harmony, in a swirling dance with a shinai, a wooden flute sounding instrument, and hypnotic electronic synths in the backing track, her most favorite elements. Frye feels like she's floating until the music ends. When she receives a text from her grandparents, telling her how proud they are that she's made it through her first day as a signed artist, Frye holds back tears of joy and pride. She'll let them out later. Instead, the cheerful inkling rejoices. I'm gonna make everyone proud. Just wait. 7 p.m. The day is slowly unwinding as Splatsville's scenic sunset dips beyond the monorail and skyline. From dawn to dusk, Frye's day has been nothing short of exhilarating. Sure, there were a few missteps and uncomfortable moments, but it was inevitable in this line of work. Her bandmates find themselves propped against the railing of the city's highest elevation. The scarlet-tinged clouds above look straight out of a storybook painting, reminding her of their middle school days hanging out on the rooftop to sing. After raiding nearby vending machines for canned refreshments, Shiver plops down on a bench next to the rest of the trio. She throws a can to both Frye and Big Man. So gang, are we ready for the next big photo shoot in a week? The first official Splatfest after debut for Deep Cut is Gear versus Grub versus Fun, a theme based on what would be most important to take to a deserted island. Frye can see herself surrounded by savory meals and sweet treats already. Whether or not they'll be able to take anything off set to enjoy is a question for another evening. The simple thought makes her chuckle. Big Man nods and hums. I can't wait. We have such a packed week. Yes, this is what it's like being a real celebrity. Frye laughs breathily in response. Yeah. So much Anarchy Rainbow practice. No more sleeping in for a while, huh? At least for y'all. You're lucky you love the mornings, Big Man teases. Off-key melodies pass by from the neighborhood children, folk singing in nearby apartments, carried along by the sudden breeze. This Friday, at 7 p.m., Frye sets her sights on the floats being constructed below them and sighs in relief, taking a sip of her mango soda afterwards. Even in a city of chaos, this moment is serene. It's the perfect prelude to the upcoming storm. Frye's beyond excited for the hurricane of a year ahead, so long as her closest friends in the entire world are by her side. The end.